Hello guys, this is soufahthewolf, and today I'm going to be doing a Red Eyes deck profile. Now, the Red Eyes is known for having full potential, while the Blue Eyes is known for having just sheer power. And the Red Eyes deck is pretty fun to experiment with, see what cards would go well with it. And one of the cards that I did add is already on the top, Alistar the Invoker. Now, there's a main reason why I added Alistar into here. So, all in all, let's get started into the deck list. And for the first card in here, it's Alistar the Invoker. Now, the main reason why I added Alistar the Invoker into this is a quick effect. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one fusion monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. Now, the way I built this Red Eyes deck, I don't really know what variant it is. That is one big problem, but there is about a couple of fusions in here that I use, mostly just because I find them interesting. And also the Invoker gives them an extra 1,000 attack, which makes it into a bigger beat stick until the end of the turn. And coming up next would be Black Metal Dragon. Now, this card is just pretty good in general, just being able to target a Red Eyes monster you control and equip it. It can be equipped on the field, it can be equipped from your hand, and it will give it an extra 600 attack. Not only that, but whenever it gets sent to the graveyard, you can add a Red Eyes card from deck to hand. And my favorite combo that I love to do, I'll show you guys later. Overall, this is a pretty good card to play 3 of. And yeah. Next things next, we have 2 Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, mostly because of little Black Metal Dragon over here. You equip it to the monster, and it can just destroy this card to destroy one spell or trap card your opponent controls, which I think of it as a pretty good background. Pop. Not only that, but you'll be able to play during your opponent's turn as well, which is pretty interesting to me. Not due to the sheer fact that you can play during your opponent's turn, but the fact that you can already start off with a full-on combo if you're able to. And that's why I think it's just playing 2, because I don't really know if you should really play 3, but if you want to play 3, you can go right on ahead. Coming up next, we have 1 Meteor Dragon Red Eyes Impact. Now, the main reason why I added this card is because this little Gemini effect where other Red Eyes monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Now, the one main problem with this deck of mine, it would be, well, it can brick, basically. And if you don't really know what bricking is, bricking means you can't really do anything with your hand. And sometimes this would be a problem, but I only added this card mostly due to its Gemini effect, and it's a pretty good in general. Coming up next would be 2 copies of Red Eyes Baby Dragon. Now, Red Eyes Baby Dragon is a pretty good card if your opponent destroys it by battle. And whenever it's destroyed by battle, you can special summon a Red Eyes monster from deck and equip the Red Eyes Baby Dragon to that monster, and it will gain an extra 300 attack points. Another combo I would love to do is, like, let's say the opponent destroys a Red Eyes Baby Dragon. You get out Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, and Gearfried would be able to pop off 1 card, and whenever Red Eyes Baby Dragon is sent to the graveyard, when equipped to a monster, you can add 1 level 1 dragon monster from your deck. And I think that's pretty good because it'll give you more access into Black Metal Dragon. And /or the Blackstone of Legend, whichever one you want to go for. And we have this iconic monster, the Red Eyes Black Dragon. The one that started it all. Jeez. Who knew that this kind of deck would actually be really fun. At first, I didn't really think that this deck was going to do pretty good, but hey, I have it right now, and it's been going pretty well for me. And it's all because of that one Red Eyes monster. Coming up next, we have 3 copies of Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. Now, Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon can be pretty good on its own, but it's mostly so I can get other XZ's materials, or maybe a fusion up. Or just maybe a fusion. Its Gemini effect is, if damage calculation is performed involving this card at the end of the battle phase, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to this card's original attack. You can only use it once per turn, though. And it's a pretty good card on its own because, well, just because not only of that one effect, but it can give you more of an Xyz play, more of a Link play, depending on what variant you want to go. Next, we have 1 copy of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, basically, so you can special summon a Red Eyes monster from the graveyard or from your hand. And just doing so on its own, it's pretty good in general. And if you have ways to like protect this one card, it's pretty yeah, it's pretty good, pretty unstoppable. Well, not really unstoppable. There are ways to stop this deck, but I'll get more into it. Coming up next, we have 1 copy of Summon Skull. Mostly because he's a 2500 beat stick. Don't know what that noise was, but Coming up next for the monsters, coming up last for the monsters is one of the most important cards yet. 3 copies of the Blackstone of Legend. Now, the Blackstone of Legend is a good card due to the fact that you can tribute off this card to special summon a monster from the main deck that's level 7 or lower and is a Red Eyes, except for Red Eyes B-Check, I think. Oh no, it doesn't say that. And another thing is you can also target 1 level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, you can add this card back to your hand. So in a way, if you can get a way to like loop around this, it would be a pretty interesting thing to do. Coming up next, just for like a little drawing, we got 3 copies of Cards of the Red Stone. Cards of the Red Stone allows you to send 1 level 7 Red Eyes monster from hand to the grave to draw 2 more cards, and you can also send 1 level 7 Red Eyes monster from deck to the graveyard. I can show you a little combo with that later on. After that, we got 2 copies of Catalyst Field, mostly to be able to normal summon the level 5 or higher Gemini monsters from your hand without having to use a single tribute. And it mostly works if your opponent controls other cards, in which sometimes they most likely will. And, overall, I think this is a pretty good card to have. I did have a 3rd copy, but I don't know where it went, so now I have 2. And, yeah. Coming up next, we have 1 copy of Dragon Shrine. This is pretty good in general, due to the fact that you can send 1 dragon monster from deck to grave, and if it's a normal monster, and if the one you send to the graveyard is a normal monster, you can send another dragon from deck to grave, and it can extend your combo plays. Coming up next is Magical Meltdown. I mostly just use this to search for the Alistar the Invoker. And overall, I think this is a pretty good field spell by itself. But it has another effect where the activation of your cards and effects that include an effect of that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot activate when a monster is fusion summoned this way. Pretty interesting card. I mostly just, like I said before, I mostly just use it to get Alistar the Invoker. Coming up next on our little list is one copy of Red Eyes Fusion. I was going to order 3, but considering that it will not allow you to normal or special summon other monsters the turn this card is activated, I feel like 1 copy is pretty good by itself. Though, if you want to play 2 or maybe 3 copies, you can, but in this deck list, it's only going to be 1, and there's a main reason why. Kind of poor. Now we have 3 copies of Red Eyes Insight. Red Eyes Insight is a pretty good combo extender. You can send 1 Red Eyes monster from hand or deck to the graveyard and add 1 Red Eyes spells or trap from deck to hand. Now, usually whenever you activate this, some people would think, if not most people would think, oh, he's probably just going to go for Red Eyes Fusion. Sometimes I go for Red Eyes Fusions, other time I love to go for other cards, because you see, Red Eyes Fusion, it's a good card as it is, since it allows you to fusion summon a monster using materials from hand or deck and sending them to the grave in order to special fusion summon 1 fusion monster. Overall, 3 copies of these is one of the best things you could have in this deck, since it allows you to search for spells or traps that list Red Eyes. Coming up next, we have 3 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. Return of the Dragon Lords allows you to target 1 level 7 or 8 dragon-type monster in your grave and special summon it. And if your dragon were to be destroyed by battle or a card effect, you can banish this card into the grave and your dragons are safe. I'd mostly just use these to like special summon like the Red Eyes Black Dragons or Red Eyes Black Flare Dragons, since these are like primary targets for these. And overall, it's a pretty good combo extender and also good for little XCs. Coming up next is 1 copy of Super Polymerization. There's a main reason why I added this into the main deck. What it allows you to do, discard 1 card, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either field as fusion materials, and neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. That's a good card by itself due to the fact that you can use your opponent's cards as well to fusion summon a fusion monster. Coming up next, we have the Claw Pharamos. Now, the Claw Pharamos is mostly used just to like send 1 dragon to the graveyard and special summon a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword. And Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword gives 1,000 attack plus 500 for each dragon type monster on field or in grave. And overall, the card is pretty good because it allows your monsters to be so buff, strong boyos. Anyways, 1 copy of Claw Pharamos is pretty much enough, since you most likely just run 1 copy. Coming up next for spells, and the last spell is 1 copy of Twin Twisters. Just to discard a card and to destroy up to 2 spell or trap cards on either player's field. It's pretty good, especially due to the fact that you got stuff like Black Metal Dragon or Red Eyes Baby Dragon. And overall, this is a pretty good way to get rid of problems you might have with somebody's back row. And coming up are the traps. This one's sad because I only have 1 copy of it. Anyways, we got 1 copy of Infinite Impermanence. Now, Infinite Impermanence is a pretty good card. I do have one friend that says it's a bit overrated for what it does, but I say that overall, it's pretty good due to the fact that not only does it not allow your opponent to do any more combo extenders, but it also, whenever it's set, you can activate it. And not only does that monster's effect negate, but any other card in that monster's column, like the spell and trap card, it would be negated as well. And if I had more copies, I would add them into this deck. But overall, I only have one copy, and I might buy two later on. Coming up next, we have Red Eye Spirit, just for more extenders and easy way to bring back the Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon if it were to be destroyed. Last but not least, we have two copies of Return of the Red Eyes. Now, Return of the Red Eyes is a pretty good card because whenever it gets destroyed, you can special summon any Red Eyes monster from grave. And what it allows you to do is you can special summon one Red Eyes normal monster, and it also goes for your Summon Skull as well, which that's pretty amazing. Now, coming up next will be the extra deck cards. First off, we're going to be playing one copy of Archfiend Black Skull Dragon, which is the main reason why I had Summon Skull in there. What it does is, whenever this card attacks, during damage calculation, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects, and at the end of the battle phase, you can target one Red Eyes normal monster in your grave and inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack, and then shuffle that card back into the deck. What I think about this is actually a pretty good card since it has a 3200 beat stick, and overall interesting. Coming up next, we have the Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword, like I showed you before. Gives that extra monster 1000 attack, plus 500 for each dragon type in grave or on field. And sometimes I'd attach it to this, mostly because I want to get this to over 11,000 sometimes, because that's how far it can mostly go. Coming up, we got two copies of Red Eye Slash Dragons. These are both secret rares, as you can tell, just by the little shiny. Look at that. Very shiny. What it does is, when a Red Eyes monster declares an attack, you can target one warrior monster in your graveyard, equip it to this card as an equip spell, and this card gains 200 attack. And when a card or effect is activated that targets a card you control, you can send one equip card you control to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, you can destroy that card. Also, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon as many monsters from your graveyard as possible that were equipped to this card. So let's say you had not only Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword, but 3 Black Metal Dragons and 1 copy of Gearfried the Red Eyes Iron Knight attached to this one card, and it was destroyed by a card effect. You'd be able to special summon not only this, but the 3 copies of Black Metal Dragon and 1 copy of Gearfried the Red Eyes Iron Knight. And this is a pretty good card in general due to the fact that it has an extra negation whenever it attacks and adds that equip spell. Coming up next will be Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, which is one of the main reasons why I added Super Polymerization into the deck. Due to the fact that, well, just because I felt like this card was actually going to be very useful into this deck, due to the fact that whenever this card is destroyed, you can destroy as many special summon monsters on the field as possible. Not only that, but if this card is fusion summoned, you can make this card gain attack equal to one opponent's special monster until the end of this turn. And you can also target one level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls. And until the end of this turn, this card's name becomes that monster's original name, and replace this effect with that monster's original effects. Just being able to do that in general would be pretty good. Let's say your opponent had Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You just summon this out, take a copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, gain the attack of Red-Eyes Dragoon. Let's say he negates it. And let's say you have Side Frame Gear Gamma in your hand, and you're able to negate that effect. Now, this card would gain attack equal to that, so it would be at 5,800. Being able to attack over the Red-Eyes Dragoon, which is one of the cards that I was mainly looking for. Coming up next, we have Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. Appaloosa is a Link 4, and you can only control one of them. The original attack of this card becomes 800 to the number of Link materials used for its Link summon. And once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can make this card lose exactly 800 attack, and if you do, negate the activation. So if you use 4 monsters for this, you have basically 4 negations. It's 1 each turn. Coming up next would be Borosword Dragon. Now, Borosword Dragon... Borosword Dragon, it's a pretty good card in general. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and once per turn, you can target 1 attack position monster and change it to defense position. And this card can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. And your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. Once per turn, when this card declares an attack on a face-up monster, you can activate this effect. Until the end of this turn, this card gains attack equal to half that monster's current attack, and if it does, that monster's current attack is half. And imagine just using this on Red-Eyes Dragoon. Red-Eyes Dragoon being one of the pretty strong cards as it is. I think it might be banned soon, but being one of the strongest cards that it is pretty hard to go through. But once you have something like Borosword Dragon, Appaloosa, or in general just Starving the Dumb Fusion Dragon, then I think there won't really be a problem if you're able to just get all 3 out. Coming up next would be Link Kuribo. Now, Link Kuribo is a good card, and it's basically used for getting rid of Black Metal Dragon. There is going to be a combo video later on, but all in all, this is just a deck profile. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can tribute this card and change that monster's attack to 0. And until the end of that's for until the end of this turn. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can tribute 1 level 1 monster and special summon this card from the grave. Now, that just being in general, being pretty good just to get it out from the grave, it's really interesting as it is. And I think that's why it's pretty good to add that card. Not only that, but it can extend combo plays. Coming up next would be 2 Mega Phantom Beast Dragosacks. Due to the fact that they can pop off any card by distributing 1 Mega Phantom Beast, you can tribute itself, or you can tribute the tokens that it generates whenever you detach 1 material from this card. You can special summon 2 Mega Phantom Beast tokens, and whenever you do that, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. And having that protection on this is pretty good in general due to the fact that it loves popping off cards. Coming up next is number 11, Big Eye, due to the fact that it's able to take control of your opponent's cards, mostly monsters. And once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, take control of that monster, and this card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated. Due to that one effect by itself, it's pretty good due to that you can just take 1 of your opponent's monsters and basically either use it for a Link summon, or maybe if you have like a Polymerization or something like that, you can use it for a fusion summon, depending on which one it would be. And overall, I think this card is pretty good and only needs to be running 1 copy. Coming up next is Queen Dragondision. Queen Dragondision, whenever you detach 1 Xyz material from this card, you can target 1 level 5 or higher Dragon-type monster in your graveyard, special summon that target, but it cannot attack and its effects are negated. And it does give the other dragon monsters protection. Other dragon-type monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle except for this one. So it can be destroyed by card effects, but it just protects them from battle. And overall, I think that's pretty good if your opponent has a troublesome just trying to take off that card. Next, we have 3 copies of Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragons. As you can see, each one having a different colored name. This one being green, this one being yellow, and this one being blue. The blue one's pretty much my favorite one. What it does, it cannot be destroyed. Camera. It cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has this Xyz material. And whenever it has that Xyz material, each time your opponent activates a card or effect, inflict 500 damage to your opponent immediately after it resolves. And once per turn, you can attach 1 Xyz material from this card and target 1 Red Eyes normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. There is a way to bring out all 3 onto the field in 1 turn. I just don't really have that capacity. And that's it for the deck profile, guys. If you'd like to see more, then please drop a like on this video. And if you want to see more deck profiles like this or more gameplays, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more. I'll be posting at least once every Wednesday or once every Tuesday, depending on what goes on that day. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and peace.